To have you this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
First, characterize the situation. Most people don't realize how hard it is for certain areas of this country to actually get fresh produce.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they're called food deserts. And you'll see that there's neglect.
Empty storefronts, deteriorating streets. City Councilor Vanessa Hall-Harper is trying to change that, and she's starting with people's basic needs.
One of my major issues of concern is food security, or the lack thereof.
Her hope is to bring quality, nutritious food options to an area of Tulsa that really doesn't have any.
We don't have fresh fruits and vegetables and meat.
Many people, she says, go to dollar stores to get the night's dinner.
We have a proliferation of discount dollar stores in North Tulsa in particular.
Happening today, a big moment for North Tulsa residents.
This is a big deal for the North Tulsa community.
It's a big deal for this area here.
It says they're now one step closer to getting the first grocery store with fresh produce and meat.
That is exactly what this new Oasis Fresh Market is going to offer come next spring.
I want to thank all the partners for helping.
Raw emotions from District 1 Councilor Vanessa Hall-Harper as she announces the groundbreaking of the new grocery store for North Tulsa.
It took us a long time to get to this point, and in fact, the past 3 years on this quest for a quality grocery store has been tough.
Y'all got me sipping my coffee. I'm working so hard to get these votes out in Tulsa. It is the first day of early voting. I'm hyped. I know y'all don't love voting as much as me. I know y'all don't love democracy as much as me. So I'm going to continue to bring on people who can match my energy in this space. I'm going to sip my coffee because I know I got to be prepared for this conversation today. I'm bringing on Councilwoman from District 1, Vanessa Hall-Harper. This is the Unbought and Unbossed forum. I had to be on my game today. I had to sip my coffee. Councilwoman Hall-Harper, how are you doing this evening?
I am well. I am blessed and so happy to be here. Thank you.
I hear that. I'm excited. Listen, I'll never forget. I was actually in Florida, Tampa, Florida, the first time that I even heard of your original candidacy. And it was actually my little brother, my younger brother, called me and was asking me about this upstart candidate. Have you heard of this lady, Vanessa Hall-Harper? I said, no, I never heard of Vanessa Hall-Harper. He said, well, she out there in the street, she willing to fight for anybody willing to fight like that, I'm willing to vote for. I said, okay. And wow, was he right? Wow, was he right? It has been so many now years, it seems like, watching you in those council chambers, fighting, sometimes having to fight your allies to tell us, sit down, hold on, give me some time, let me work on some things. Certainly fighting the powers that be, but always fighting for the North Tulsa community, the District 1 community you represent. I believe it's over 44,000 residents. And I know I've had many conversations with you about, well, Councilwoman, don't you want to go to the state capitol, or don't you want to be the next Cori Bush? And you always shut me down and say, no, I like what I'm doing right here. I know that the reason that I have so much admiration for you is that many people, I think, upon initially meeting you, are caught by your passion, your charisma, your vigor, your honesty. Mm-hmm. What I have begun to learn is, and this is what I tell people, what I want to tell the people listening, is that Councilwoman Vanessa Hall-Harper is actually one of the most detail-oriented, policy-oriented sticklers that there are. You literally go like this when you get to reading stuff. You lean up like this and ask questions. I'm like, where is this coming from? But I know it's because of your understanding of how to get things done at a policy level, what that takes at your level, especially when you know you're fighting for communities that have been historically left behind. And so I wanted to say, yes, I know we joke a lot about your passion, and we know that sitting in a District 1 city council seat is one you have to fight for, but it's more than just the speeches and the rah-rah. In order to be as effective as you are, it is the commitment to excellence from the policy side, but it's also the study to be able to put forth the right type of policies and to make the type of negotiations and political compromises to get things done for our community. So that's certainly what I appreciate about you. I do want to give you an opportunity because I've got some harder questions for you, but I do want to give you the opportunity to tell the voters of District 1 why you're at this again, why they should continue supporting you in this upcoming election, August 27th.
Well, again, thank you for this opportunity. I think we've accomplished much, but I think there is so much more to accomplish. And so that's why I am continuing this work. Obviously, I'm not going to do this forever. No one is, no one can. But while I'm here, I want to be able to say I gave 100%, that I started something, that we started something as a community, and that we were able to accomplish things. These things, and the only thing that matters is are we improving quality of life at the end of the day? Whatever the issue, whatever the space, are we improving quality of life? And that's what I just want. If I had, what would my claim to fame be? Would be that would, we can't solve all of the problems or the ills of society, but what we did, we made impact. And so that's all I ever want to accomplish.
I hear that. What would you say in your years do you feel like is your greatest accomplishment? What are you most proud of right now in this moment?
I would have to say, because it is a continuing, ongoing battle, but that is the issue of food security, or lack thereof, certainly not only in Tulsa, but throughout the nation. And so I think I didn't realize, and no one really ever does, when you're working, you're trying to do something in your space, in your community, but I didn't realize the impact that it would really have nationally. And so I still hear and get calls and requests about the same issues, right? And we know that. I'm a student of history. I teach government, and the reality is, no matter what community you go in, particularly majority Black community in this country, the ills of the concerns are the same. The divestment and the disenfranchisement are the same. And so when it comes to the issue of food security, food deserts are a prolific problem in Black, brown, and poor communities throughout this nation. And so, like I said, I didn't think it was what we were doing would have the impact that it is around the country, but it is. And people are addressing it in similar ways. They're stopping the proliferation of these dollar stores. There's actually been national stories where some of the dollar chains have decided to close stores, which is a good thing if they're in food deserts, so that there's an opportunity not only to bring healthy food options, but Black ownership. That is something that's important to me as well. We need to own and produce in our own communities, as opposed to just having national store chains who make decisions based solely on the numbers, as opposed to what the needs are in the community. So I think I would have to say I'm proud of that and the work that is being done at Oasis Fresh Market with AJ Johnson, because it is more than just a place to buy food. It is a place for shelter. It is a place to meet so many needs and to access resources that people need. And so I think that is the model, certainly that's been successful here and will be a successful model in other Black, brown, and poor communities throughout the country. And we're working on it. We're getting calls from Arkansas and Omaha and New Orleans and Chicago looking to duplicate. And so we want to partner with that. We don't want to just say, hey, here's the blueprint. We want to be in those spaces too, so we can have that national impact.
I really appreciate that. And I'm actually going to bring on one of your city councilors that I know has worked with you from early on. I know sometimes you agree, sometimes you disagree. You all are always trying to compromise based on your own, not your own interest, but the interest of your constituents. I think that, it's one thing for one of your constituents to speak to how you work. But I did want to bring on Councilwoman Lori Dexter Wright, who has been on the council and been experiencing a lot of these battles in her own right, to speak to what her experience has been with you as a partner in trying to move Tulsa forward. Welcome, Councilwoman Lori Dexter Wright. Thank you for taking a few minutes to speak to us. If you don't mind, introduce to the folks what you represent, and if you could, where you stand on Councilwoman Vanessa Hall-Harper in terms of her work on the council with you all these years.
Well, good evening. Thanks for inviting me. I'm Lori Dexter Wright. I represent Southeast Tulsa, District 7. And so Councilor Hall-Harper is Northwest District 1. We are probably 45 minutes apart from my front door to her front door because we're a 201 square mile city. But she and I have just collaborated and cooperated to move Tulsa forward in so many ways. She does have to compromise, and sometimes we don't agree, and we don't spend time focusing on the places we don't agree. We say, where can we build from the needs of the people? And I would just say, I think Councilor Hall-Harper is a fighter and she comes across tough, but nobody cares more than her about the community. She is so compassionate. She wants to educate people in the process and empower people. And she does that with us on the council as well. She is a policy nerd. And we know that we can turn to her when she comes in with a proposal. There's stacks of paper, there's reports, there's data driving these decisions. She doesn't just come in with, oh, I have this idea. And it's really refreshing to work with someone who is taking this work so seriously. We only have 2-year terms, so we do not let off the gas. Nothing is a foregone conclusion, certainly not how I got to office. And, you know, these local races can come down to a number of votes. In 2022, I was the incumbent chairwoman of the council and came 9 short in the August and had to run to November. So we don't take these for granted. Working families right now are taking kids back to school, you know, just trying to stay in the hustle, and they have to remember to make time to either vote early right now, tomorrow, Saturday, or in their polling place on Tuesday. Get a ride, make a plan. We cannot just take for granted that, you know, an incumbent's going to win. Councilor Hall-Harper led the council as the chairwoman, made history in the city of Tulsa, leading us in 2021 during the centennial. Well, the whole world's eyes were on Tulsa, and she has not let up. I'm very proud of the Beyond Apology work we've done. That is something that you all brought to us from community and really found a team at the council and with the mayor's office to keep that agenda moving. There wasn't always agreement. We had to pivot, turn around, but I'll tell you, you all stayed in it, you stayed on it, and you see the progress we're making. So it's messy work, it's hard work, but it's also hard work. And I am so excited to just even have an opportunity to share with you today about Vanessa and how she shows up for not just District 1, but all of Tulsa and Oklahoma time and time again.
And I just have one more question because you really got to it, and I think you uniquely can speak to this. Certainly constituents like myself out of District 1, we're just praying that somebody is in those back rooms fighting. We can't see it. And I wonder, you don't have to tell us all the secrets, but if you could just maybe let us in just a little bit, maybe just an example of where you've seen Councilor Harper push and really speak to what District 1 needed in a moment and where you saw that make an impact. I think that'd be very helpful for us to hear.
Yeah, so sometimes the fight doesn't look like, you know, throwing punches. Sometimes it looks like silence, reading the room. And I will tell you, Councilor Hall-Harper is not always the loudest one at the table, but when she speaks, we listen. And to your point, Greg, when those glasses come down, you better pay attention because Professor Hall-Harper is about to make impact in those places and spaces. The number one thing that I think is the myth about Councilor Hall-Harper is that, you know, she doesn't work well with people. That is not true. She is in every space and place at City Hall and beyond, at the county, at the state, and at the federal level, advocating specifically for North Tulsa, specifically for Black Tulsans. In my community, there's Black Tulsans all around the city. And she is advocating for Black, brown, and poor people all across our city, and specifically the needs of District 1. She is in those places and spaces because people trust her.
Wow.
She does not let up. She does compromise. she will say, well, we'll start here, but I'm going to keep pushing. And so I think constituents need to know that she is in every room where you need her to be. And I'm talking the mayor's office, the county commission, the tribes. She is where she needs to be. And she's never gatekeeping, right? She's bringing the community along and always amplifying and always saying, I got to go back to the community and confirm. And she pushes and pushes. We need to engage. We need to survey. We need to have a town hall. And so those are the ways that maybe you don't always see every day, but every day that's what she's doing.
I love it. Counselor, thank you so much. Let's also support Tulsa Opera. Let's support our artists out there. I want to shout out Counselor Lori Dexter Wright. She may not say this, but she's been deeply committed to the art scene, to the music scene, to the culture scene. That's deeply important to our work. Thank you for taking time.
Thank you. And get out and vote.
That's right. August 27th is the election. Today started early voting. Councilwoman Lori Dexter Wright told you that you can vote today. You can vote tomorrow. You can vote Saturday as well. Councilor Hall-Harper, I know that one of the things that's very dear to you brought me on actually very early in the founding of the Black Wall Street Chamber.
Yes.
As we bring on the new leader of the Black Wall Street Chamber, I certainly want to recognize and give honor to your co-founder, Ms. Sherry Gamble Smith. As we bring on the new leader, Ms. Kuma Roberts. But I wonder, as she comes on, if you can kind of speak from your perspective on what you were intending when you co-founded the Black Wall Street Chamber with Sherry Gamble Smith, and why you stuck with it for as long as you have.
Yes, I believe in what I saw growing up. We had strong Black-ran institutions in our community, and I saw that begin to deteriorate over time. And so that's one of the things I wanted to stand up, are our Black institutions, and certainly went in open-minded, open-hearted to work with the institutions that were still present, even though it seemed like in name only, to build from within and to reestablish as opposed to starting over. But unfortunately, that didn't work out too well. And so we had to create a new chamber, and not necessarily one to compete, but one to exist and to serve the needs of the Black business community. And I will say Black business community unapologetically. And so that's why we did that. That's why we created the Black Wall Street Chamber of Commerce. And to your point, Sherry Gamble Smith was our leader over the last 5 years. But unfortunately, she passed away. May she rest in peace. And so we needed to find someone else to come in and step in and take that role. And I will say, I've said it when we announced Kuma Roberts as our new president. Sherry had started talking about an exit strategy and exit plan with me and a few others. And she unequivocally said, we need to bring in Kuma Roberts to replace me. And so we just followed her lead and leadership in that role. And so I'm so proud and so excited to have Kuma working in this space, leading this Black-led institution. And she can tell you more things, but there's so much to come. So please just stay tuned. But we want to be able to make sure we have our institutions that build up our foundations and our power bases in our communities. Everyone else does it. We must, in order to be a part and play the role and to be considered legitimate, right? To get things done, we have to have our institutions in place with strong leadership. And I think that's what we have in Kuma Roberts.
You know, before Ms. Kuma, before you speak, I do want to give you your flowers as well, because you're one of the folks who certainly you have proven your professional capabilities in so many ways, as being so instrumental in the Tulsa, the regional chamber for so long, being a key and looked up to, a sought after consultant in your own right. I know that I was overwhelmed with happiness when I heard that you were willing to take the role and the mantle at the Black Wall Street Chamber, because I was just so excited about your vision and how I know that you're capable of leading. I've also had so many conversations with you that were just very straight up and blunt. I know you to be a person who isn't one to be stirred by somebody else's opinion. You're going to diagnose things for yourself. You're going to tell people. I know you've told me, hey, this is how I see this, straight up. And I respect and admire it. I think that's what real leaders do. And so I value your opinion on leadership. And I wonder, as you are coming into this conversation, if you could maybe let us in a little bit on how you think about leadership, why you are willing to trust Councilwoman Vanessa Hall-Harper in this type of space, and how that relates to the economic goals that you certainly are championing over at the chamber.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Councilor Hall-Harper and I have had a long-standing relationship on both sides, right? Because I worked at a larger chamber and got a chance to see her passion, tenacity, her commitment to the community on that side, and get to see it on this other side. She's inspired me personally as a leader. I think Dion says it in some of the comments on this alone, but she does not code switch for anyone. She is who she is, no matter whether she's in front of the chief of a sovereign nation, whether it's in front of one of her constituents at the Black Wall Street Liquid Lounge, whether it's anywhere, she is herself. And so since taking on leadership at the chamber, she's empowered me to bring my full authentic self, to not code switch, but to prioritize Black economics, Black economic development, Black progress, Black excellence in every element of the work that we do at the chamber. One of the most important elements that she provides as our founding board member and a board member is that policy, structure, financial accountability were all things that were important to her from the very start. And she wanted to make sure that our organization was strong as it related to those elements, because she knows when we're not incorrect, when we're not in alignment in those spaces, that's where we lose that momentum and that influence that we have in our community. So that's been really key, and I just really appreciate her from that standpoint.
I want to let you all kind of talk specifically about an investment that I know was purely a part of Vanessa's vision. I do have to interrupt this and say, I'm so glad we got Jericho Wortham.
Yeah, so
to say that. I've always wanted to say that. I'm sorry. I always wanted to say that. But anyway, back to the deal. One of the big programs that Councilwoman Hall-Harper, I know, has had a vision for, and man, I mean, when I tell you I was there when she ramrodded it through, pushed it through, the Power Group. Ms. Kuma, I want to obviously give Councilwoman Hall-Harper a chance to kind of talk about her vision for that, but I actually want to go back to you in terms of what's your perspective on the Power Group? Maybe explain to the audience sort of what the mission of that is and why you think it's so important.
Yeah, well, I was a part of the Power Group. I remember our first meetings down in the Spirit Bank building, where we were all essentially, I really love the idea because I found it to be crowdsourcing from our community for our needs. And so the idea that you could give $10, $20, $50, $100 a month to a fund in order to create opportunity and dollars for our community. I think when I started as the president, one of the things that Vanessa was very like, what are we doing with these dollars? How are we really leveraging to the value of the community? That was really important to her. So we've talked a lot about is that buying land in order to kind of return land back to our community, our people, because we know we don't own a ton of land. Is it microloans for business owners, people who want to start business? How do we begin to create that, get some matching funds? So the Power Group is really a group. We want to continue to raise funds for that. We have roughly about $25K that we have crowdsourced from our community in North Tulsa District 1. And we're looking for the right way to leverage those dollars for benefit of our community. And so that's something that we're always on the lookout for. We know tourism, we know that education, as we think about Black History Saturdays, and some of the things that are so important to our community, how do we leverage these dollars to help support? And so that's really a part of Vanessa's effort, is how do we strengthen the existing Black-led organizations that we have across the community? And then how do we best create value for those that are actually living in the district and in our community? Black, brown, everyone who's underrepresented in particular.
I love it. Counselor, anything to add there before we let Kuma go?
No, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support.
You. Absolutely. Love you. Y'all have a good day. Love seeing you, Greg.
So that was Ms. Kuma Roberts, again, head of the Black Wall Street Chamber, co-founded by Councilor Hall-Harper as well. The Power Group, founded by Councilor Hall-Harper as well. And let's stick on this economic theme. You know, organizations and institutions are certainly critically important when you're talking about having a foundation, you all, to growth. I do want to take a little bit of time to educate here. Certainly when we're talking about investing and building up the Black dollar again, yes, it takes brilliant entrepreneurs, but it also takes institutions that can stabilize, that can provide supportive funding, that can provide a foundation to allow for those seeds of entrepreneurship and creativity to grow, right? So actually, we've heard from an institution. I actually want to bring on one of Tulsa's great business owners and entrepreneurs now, and bring on Miss Tracy Gibbs. Now, this it's hard to talk District 1 Tulsa and not bring on family. I promise I'm not trying to make this too much of a family affair, but it is what it is. Cousin, I'm glad to have you on. I'm glad to have you on. You know, you are so connected to this community from an economic standpoint, but also you can also speak to the historical piece of this. So many of us are connected deeply to Greenwood, whether we have an ancestor that helped build it or we grew up down the street, what have you. And I know in your case, it's all the way around. Having an ancestor and then yourself investing, not just in North Tulsa, but I'm talking about you invest deep in North Tulsa. And so I want to give you opportunity to first talk about what it is that you do, how you are positioned in North Tulsa, and then if you would, how Councilwoman Vanessa Hall-Harper has been a partner in some of your goals in terms of economic development for this community.
First and foremost, cousin, it's so good seeing your face. I'm so happy to be here, and as well as yours, Councilwoman Vanessa Harper. I'm so glad to be here. Just a little history, of course. Our grandmother, Ernestine Gibbs, she was a race massacre survivor that lived to share a story. She was 17 years old when the event occurred, so she was well aware of the horrific event. She was one of the very first survivors that came forward in 1999 and said, hey, we got to get this story out. We have to tell our story. So we honor her tenacity. She went off to graduate from Booker T. Washington and then went to Langston and graduated from Langston, became an educator, and then began to sow back into her community, teaching little young Black boys and girls regarding the need and necessity of being educated. And then her and her husband started their own business. They had several shopping centers and malls, which is one of the shopping centers that we currently own today. And our focus and our goal is the community and rebuilding that community. And so working next to my councilwoman has been literally amazing. And there's for a lot of reasons. When I was around when Vanessa first decided to run, and I will tell you, seeing where we were then compared to where we are now, we can literally see the change in our community, right? And we all know that change is not easy for a lot of people. So there could be pushback, there could be struggle, because some people don't understand the need for necessity of the change. But that's one thing I would always say about her. She understands the need for change in our community and what that may take, the burden it is on her to stand up for change, the heartache it's been on her as well as her family to stand up for change for our community to make a difference. And sometimes I'll watch and listen to her, because you're right about the policy, and you know, it's beautiful to have an educated council person that's just not here talking about it, but being about it, right? Making a difference. So she's there to support. I love the fact that she's there to listen, even when things may not be what she agrees with. She's there to listen. And then she's able to take what she hears to see how can she fold that in to really move this forward for the community? And that's her heart, because her heart is the community of Tulsa. Her heart is not about anything else but the community of Tulsa. Blood, sweat, or tears, right, Vanessa?
Yes.
You know, I do want to ask this specific, because I think you can really speak to this. So we like drama. And I what I know about you is I've seen you in a lot of spaces where a lot of drama is going on, and you are never the one to start no drama. You don't even try to finish it. You just are always focused on, you came there for a reason, and you gonna be there for that reason. And I just wonder if you can maybe speak to your mentality as someone who takes that role in the community, and as someone who supports Councilwoman Hall-Harper. Like, how can you speak to us a little bit of what you see as important in a leader, and particularly for District 1, and how you think about these things? I think we could really learn something from that.
Well, thank you for giving me those kudos. I appreciate that. I think the biggest thing is, if I may say this, is knowing that it's bigger than you. And that's something that I would say regarding Councilwoman Harper. I mean, when you go into a space, when you go into a room, no matter what it is or what the policy, what the issue is, it could be stray dogs in our community. It could be something like that, right? She takes that to heart. Like, what do we do? Stray dogs, trash, whatever it might be. She has walked our community, and not a lot of people will do this. She has walked the streets of our community, literally, to see what needs to be done on the streets and the blocks community, because she understands that is bigger than her. This work is bigger than her. The need is bigger than her. So when she go into a room, and a lot of people, and she's not, I don't feel like she's ever been contentious in anything that she stood for, because everything that she stands for, she understands that it's bigger than her. It's never been a chip on her shoulder to take it personally or anything like that. It's been bigger than her regarding how can we make a difference in this community? How can we really see impactful change in this community? And whatever that may look like, and whatever she might do, it happens. You know, I thought about, people had said earlier about her getting into a room or space, and just her pushing, right? The pushing. A lot of people are not, they're uncomfortable with the push. But what I saw was, you could see a car on the side of the road, and this is just a metaphor, car on the side of the road where someone's stranded, and you can see people jump out their car to help push that car out the way. Or you can be the person that just kind of pass by and honk your horn and keep going. Vanessa is the one who will get out of her car and help push that car out the side of the road to make way, not just for the other people that need to get around for the car, but make sure that the people in that car find safety. And that's kind of what I think about when I see her, when I think about her pushing.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
I love you guys.
All right. Love you too.
So, Councilwoman, as we get to the end here, listen. You talked about the grocery store. We talked about the economic side of things for District 1. Certainly, you have championed the Expungement Expo for those Tulsans who are looking to restart their life and need to get that out of the way. That's one of the most impactful things that you continue to champion and continue to do. And then just recently, I was watching TV, and I saw you on TV with Mayor G.T. Bynum announcing the Beyond Apology Commission geared at addressing some of the harms that bad policy and systemic racism have led to, particularly stemming from the Tulsa Race Massacre. We know the history here in Tulsa. It's something that you have wanted to champion, obviously, along with our great champions at the legislative level, Representative Regina Goodwin, our great champions at the community advocacy level. I'm thinking about Dr. Tiffany Crutcher. I'm thinking about Attorney DeMario Solomon Simmons, the Justice for Greenwood work, and so on and so forth. But this particular is your lane, the policy lane, the beyond apology lane. I want to give you, before we sign off here, opportunity to maybe talk about that project and what you are hoping for from it. I also know there is opportunity for community to get involved. So why don't you speak to that?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is a work, and it's an ongoing work. There are many people, as you mentioned, who are working in this space. And so certainly giving honor and respect to them, in particular, Justice for Greenwood and all of the work that they have done, led by Attorney DeMario Solomon Simmons, as well as the justice involved work that the Terrence Crutcher Foundation has done, led by Dr. Tiffany Crutcher. And so there is what I consider an overall objective, but there are also spaces that we all work in. And so no one should be unaware of the Justice for Greenwood and the lawsuit on behalf of not only the survivors, but also the community that's been ongoing. But running alongside that, parallel to that, is also the policy work or the community side of work that also needs to be done. And so I'm not a lawyer. I don't step in the courtrooms and strategize and tell people how to do that piece. I support as much as I possibly can in my role. But on the policy side, fortunately, and I'm thankful for all of the work, not only here, but nationally, that is being done in the reparations and reparative justice work. And so I'm very thankful for people like Robin Ruth Simmons, who was an alderman in Evanston, Illinois, who on the record is the first city that actually have not only just asked for, demanded, but implemented a reparations plan in her community. And so there are over 75 cities, and that number is growing, that is doing reparative work. And so what I'm excited about is that we have best practices. I am one that comes from a public health background, and what we do is we don't have to reinvent the wheel. If there is someone or some organization or some community that is doing it and doing it well, hey, you don't have to make it up, just duplicate those best practices. And so starting in 2021, during the centennial, we as a city council, we wanted to do something and just not let this 100-year centennial opportunity pass us by. And so we passed a resolution saying that not only we acknowledge and apologize, because the city council of Tulsa had never done that. We want to do that, but we want to go beyond just that apology. And we want to do more. And what does it actually look like today? And what can we truly accomplish from a policy level? And so, as you know, the Beyond Apology was a Beyond Apology community conversation process was led by you and in your firm of Standpipe Hill Strategies. And it was so professionally and so well done and impressive to everyone, even the council and the mayor, for that matter. And we held those community-led conversations. And we have a plan to start, right? And not to discredit all the other work that has been done in the past, because we actually incorporated that when we talked about the Tulsa Race Riot report, when it was still called a riot. And we pulled all that information in for today. And not much has changed. We know we are demanding or wanting to see the same things because the same issues persist. And so fortunately, there was one primary recommendation that came out of that, and that was to create a commission, like so many other cities, again, throughout this nation are doing. And so fortunately, the mayor read the report in detail, and he said, yes, I want to follow up and actually implement the number one priority or recommendation from that report in that process, which was to create a commission. And so we're looking forward to sitting the commission and then working with the community mainly. And most importantly, I will say the Justice for Greenwood program. They have done so much work, so much background work, and it only makes sense to ask them to come and take the lead on continuing to lead the community as they've been doing in this effort. And so I look forward to that collaboration so that because as of the world really, and certainly the rest of the community, we are not the first commission to be established. We are late to the game, if you really want to know.
Right.
As it relates to that. But everyone is still looking for Tulsa, right? They're still looking to Tulsa to see if we're doing it right. I get calls all the time of people that have communities that have already started these commissions, but they want to say, but we want to do the Beyond Apology process. And I'm saying, okay, you need to call Greg Roberts. in order to do that. So even after the fact, our process was we did that, the community-led process first, the community made that recommendation, and now we are at the place of implementing that recommendation. But people are now saying they want to go back and steal, because it was just such significant work and process to have the voice of the community in a community-led conversation process. And so there are communities that still wants to double back and do that and make sure, because it's so important. And so again, I just want to thank you for your leadership in that, in your strategic mind, in putting forth a plan that I think is going to be duplicated throughout the country as it relates to reparative justice and reparative work.
Well, I want to leave us, and thank you, Councilwoman Harper, for your work. I'm glad that we got to speak to today. I want to leave you all with this. I certainly support Councilor Hall-Harper. I would encourage you all to do the same. I want to tell you, it's not about agreeing with her. I personally, she knows this. I think you need to put the elected official in there that you can negotiate with, that you can argue with, that you can push, that who's going to fight for you, but also be honest with you. And so if you're on the fence or you're wondering, why do I support someone like Councilor Harper? It's because you understand her professionalism. It's because you understand that she knows how to get things done in this office. And you understand, as she's clearly demonstrated, and the speakers today have clearly demonstrated, that she does have a bias, and it's a bias towards District 1. So it's not about agreeing with her all the time. It's about respecting the work that she has put in. It's about knowing that you can go with a difference of opinion. You can go with an argument, and she's going to listen to that. And she's someone that you can work with. That's ultimately what we need in this community, for us all to get better, for us all to have better outcomes. Councilwoman Hall-Harper, I appreciate your work. I wish you the best on August 27th. Those of you out there, I saw people saying, hey, I voted today. I love that, because you can vote today. Well, you could vote today. You can vote on August 23rd from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And you can vote on Saturday, August 24th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So some of y'all gonna have to skip that brunch and go to that, go to that election board. If you missed that, August 27th. And as we heard last night from Dr. Tiffany Crutcher, there are free rides. If you go to the Go Pass app and you go vote TUL24, you can even get a ride to the poll. So there's no excuse. There's no excuse. Okay. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a wonderful night. We love you, Tulsa.
Your ear.